Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Jamie Hughes Show. My name as always is Jamie Hughes and today I'm going to be giving you my review of The Florida Project. Now if you want to keep up to date with all the latest movie news and reviews, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. And as always, my videos, this review may include spoilers, so you have now been warned. So The Florida Project is one of those movies that didn't get the biggest cinematic release over here in the UK last year, just like The Big Sick, which I reviewed a couple of weeks ago right here on my channel. If you want to check that out, there's a link above my head now in one of those corners. But yeah, it was one of those movies that I really wanted to go and see, but it didn't get the biggest release. I went on Amazon Prime a couple of days ago and it was there, so I thought I'd check it out and I thought, why not give it a review? So The Florida Project is so good, really great. Like, don't get me wrong, I had my skepticism about it early on, especially in the first act. I'll get onto that in a little bit, but for the most part, this movie is so raw and really emotional, and I didn't expect it to be. It really caught me by surprise, and there were a few moments towards the end of this movie where I was fighting back the tears just a little bit. So let's talk about the good things in this movie. And one of the great things, if not the best thing about this film, is Willem Dafoe and his performance as the kind of overworked, underappreciated Bobby, the hotel manager. I thought his performance was excellent. Again, it was such a raw and really powerful but underplayed performance from Willem Dafoe. He just really conveyed this great emotion in his face, and although he's kind of portrayed as the bad guy, for me he was just the only pure and really good person in this film. And there are a select amount of scenes where Bobby just does the absolute best. He always feels like he's doing the right thing, even if it's in the wrong situation, and he was just great. Willem Dafoe was incredible, and there was one scene specifically with Willem Dafoe that I wanted to point out that was so emotional, and it's towards the end of the film where I think it's like the FDC, the family kind of, I suppose it's child services, are at Haley's door, and Bobby takes Mooney off and is speaking to her, and she kind of doesn't grasp while they're there. And you can just see in Bobby's face that he's really sad because he knows what's going to happen to Mooney, but like, he tries to be so positive, and it was just so heartbreaking to see. And it was just one of those little moments in this movie that really elevated it for me, and there's a lot of those little moments that really did elevate this movie for me. And there are like the look of this film is incredible. It kind of walked the line between massive fantasy and crippling reality, but I guess that's kind of the American dream within a sense, because every kind of shot in this movie looked like a masterpiece. The cinematography in this movie is incredible. Everything's just really light and bright and vibrant. Like, they walk past the gift shop, the ice cream shop, Orange World, everything's all bright, and obviously that ties into the kids' perspective of the world, where everything is light and bright. They live in a giant purple castle, for God's sake. But like, the realism is so apparent in this movie, and one of the great ways they did that is that they had a lot of elongated shots. So this movie is quite choppy in points, like it cuts between the narrative very quickly, but it kind of ties in with the story by having these really long elongated shots of people walking, of, you know, extended conversations. And I know that sounds a little bit odd, but it just really added to the feel and the realism of this movie, because, you know, that is real life. We do walk to places, we have longer conversations than we need to have, and it all just worked really well, and it built to this huge crescendo. And again, I want to talk about like a positive and a negative here, going on from that point of, you know, this movie really kind of growing to its climax. For the first half of this movie, I wasn't really sold. I just wasn't that interested in it, if I'm being honest. I didn't really like the kids. I thought the kids were really snotty and bratty, and I couldn't connect with them. I think Mooney's mum, Haley, is a deplorable human being, and I just couldn't connect with her. And it was really only kind of, I started to get interested in this movie again thanks to Willem Dafoe and that character Bobby, is where the diddler comes onto the site and is kind of talking to the kids, and that's where you kind of see this movie spark into life a little bit with Bobby, and you see like his caring nature comes out in that moment. And then that's when I started to realise, you know, that this guy cares about these kids. and you start to go deeper into the rabbit hole, and you realise that it's not these kids' fault that they're being naughty, that they're acting up. It's their parents, especially with Mooney and Haley, Haley's just a horrible woman, and at no point did I feel sorry for her. I don't know whether I was supposed to, and again, that is one of my issues with this movie, is that I don't know whether I was supposed to feel sorry for Haley, because I never did at any point in this film. I felt like she got her just desserts, but obviously on the flip side of that, is that I really started to feel sorry for Mooney, a character that in the first act, as I said, I didn't really care for, and I thought she was a little bit of a brat. But then you start to understand why she's like this, and why her character's like this. And as I said a little bit earlier on in this review, it all builds to that climax, and it all builds to that final scene where a sobbing Mooney knocks on Jancy's door, and just breaks down in tears. And for me, that's where this movie got me. That's where this movie really stuck with me, was those moments, and they were kind of reminiscent for me a little bit. Like they really, really struck a chord with me, and it was just really, really sad. And I didn't expect it to be. I genuinely didn't. As I said, I got a little bit kind of disconnected with this film early on. I stuck with it, and it actually turned out to be a really great grower of a film, and I really love this movie now, and I didn't think that was possible, but the film's final act especially, and the performances that really grew and grew to that kind of heartbreaking and heart-wrenching moment of when Mooney realises that she's going to be taken away from this life that she loves so much, was just so sad. And again, I loved it, and that is kind of my review of the Florida Project, is that I loved it, and I didn't think I was going to. It's a really, really nice surprise of a movie. It's got one hell of an emotional punch, and I think this movie is going to sit and stick with me for a while, and I loved it, and I'm so glad I got the chance to watch it on Amazon. It's great, and I want to know what you guys think about this movie, because it's so special, and we should be cherishing movies like this more, I think. And not to sound like really pretentious and up my own arse, but yeah, what a great movie this was, and it definitely came out of nowhere. So let me know your guys' thoughts on the Florida Project, as always, down in those comments below. And if you did enjoy this video and you want to keep up to date with all the latest movie news and reviews and special bonus features like this video here, I know it's not an historical review, it's not an older review, it's just a movie that I wanted to watch, and I just ended up watching it like 6 months after everybody else, but I just really wanted to see it, and I'm so glad I did. So yeah, if you want to keep up to date with all that jazz, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you did enjoy this video and you want to keep up to date with all the latest movie news and reviews, I've already said that I'm in autopilot mode. Yeah, just stick around, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you in the very next episode of The Jamie Hughes Show. Ta-ra!